My Hero Academia 2 Heroes is directed by Kenji Nagasaki. All Might and Deku accept an invitation to visit Ai Island, where they battle against a villain who takes the island hostage. I remember watching this film back in 2018 with a friend of mine. He invited me over after I had my time at the gym, and so it was the perfect kind of movie to watch after a good workout, watch a bunch of strong kids in high school like I was at the time go up against powerful villains. It was like the perfect friend night and the perfect time for me to watch something, and I had a lot of fun with it. I had a great time in the theater. It was a fun theater experience. People were cosplaying as characters from the show, and that was my first real introduction to My Hero Academia. So after all these years, now that I'm rewatching the show now, I finished the 2 seasons and now I'm at the movie. I'm going to be reviewing the movies in chronological order instead of release order. So this came out technically in terms of canon before season 3. So I'm going to have this up after season 2 instead of 3, if that makes any sense to you guys. Rewatching it the other day, I still had a lot of fun with this film. This film was so much fun to watch in theaters, and it's still so much fun to watch at home. The animation is absolutely beautiful. The line work and the action sequences and the way they are able to be helmed in such a grand scale was just all around epic. I remember these fight sequences in the theater when I first watched them, and they are just as impressive today. Like, these action sequences are fantastic. I love the little heist moments and this kind of prison escape stuff that you get in the middle of the movie, where Class 1A are trying to save all the superheroes and get out of this building alive from the villains. Seeing all these students use their quirk in various ways that are very creative and integral to the plot, and have them be useful to the story, which is probably the best. But we don't get all the students from Class 1A. There's only like half the students from the show here, and I think that was a smart idea. We get a few glimpses of some other students walking around, but other than that, we have our main core characters that have much more to do in the show in the first 2 seasons in this little arc here. And they're all very fun, they're all likable. Izuku Midoriya is once again a fun character to be around and see grow throughout the course of the movie. His friendship with Melissa Shield is also really fun, and I love seeing these two bond with each other because they have a bit of a similar past, because they were quirkless and they were able to understand each other in that regard and share their passions about hero work, and Midoriya in many ways starts to see himself in her, and their close-knit friendship that they have together throughout this movie I found very compelling in that regard, as she is also someone who looked up to a very important figure in her life like Midoriya did, and it just so happened to be a connection with All Might. That being, this person she is idolizing was actually All Might's sidekick. That was a terrible drum roll, I'm sorry guys. But they used to work together back in the days during their younger years. You get a flashback in the opening scene of these two working together, and it sets up what the movie is going to be telling in its story, what the themes are, and how these characters began. It was a very good opening. The action is a lot of fun, and seeing All Might in a young stage in his life like this, still trying to learn his way on how to be the greatest hero, was a whole lot of fun, though a bit strange seeing actual eyes on him, if I'm gonna be honest. And then when we move to the present and we see these two grow older, we start to see that's all not the same as it was, and that there's a few differences, but they still care for one another. And the twist that involves these characters and how they relate to the villain subplot, I found very intriguing, interesting, and it brought the whole movie full circle. It creates a lot more conflict, and that is when the tone of the film starts to shift. Before that, we have all the students, Midoriya and All Might, having a happy-go-lucky time, and even when things start to go wrong, it was like a fun little action sequence here and there, and they are all kids, so they're taking the situation seriously but still trying to incorporate some fun into it. But once we get to this twist, the tone starts to change. The violence starts to amplify. The tone gets darker, and the situation gets even more dire. And seeing Deku and All Might team up together to try and go up against this villain was so much fun. It was one of my favorite moments in the theater to watch, and still rewatching it the other day, it is just as intense. The scale of the action sequence was fantastic. The way the animation was so fluid and fast, it was just... Dude, this was everything I want from a action anime, and I am so happy I was able to watch this in the theater. Like, if I saw this only at home, I wouldn't have gotten that same exhilarating feeling that I would have gotten on the big screen. All in all, I really love this film. If I were to have some problems, I guess some of the exposition in the beginning could go on a bit too long, and the villains aren't nothing to write home about. They are serviceable to the plot, and they're very threatening. But as individual characters, they are not the most interesting villains in My Hero Academia universe. But all in all, these are just minor flaws that I noticed, but they don't detract from the movie experience too much. I loved My Hero Academia 2 Heroes, and I'm gonna give it an A. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please leave a like, subscribe, comment, and I will see you guys next time.